The content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button. And please, feel free to share the video. Thank you.
What's good, everybody? I'm GG, man. The G with a PhD. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chasers, man. Word up. And I want to start off, man, by giving a shout out to the haters, man. Big up to y'all, man. Big up to the haters, man. If you haven't done so already, man, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the bell notification button so you can stay abreast of what's cracking here on the Green Gorilla channel. And, you know, like I always do, I want to give a shout out to all the members of the Green Gorilla channel. So let's get that process started. Big up to Julius Ferguson, Lord Hamal, Lee Ways, Felix Olabatuyui, Electrician 480, Black Swerve 404, J. Cleveland Green, Pete Rock 496, Tahuti and Gold Professor. Big up to y'all, man. Big up to Brotherly Love, DF, Aaron Peters, Zanko, Barnolas, hiphop.catv, Dardar, Michael Ross, Vincent Lindsay, and Michael Pierce. Big up. Big up to Beautiful Trauma, Quiz the Poet, Black Quizzard 80OS, Jazz Tech, Shadow Observer, Sugar T, Artisan MC, Nasiana, Kyle J. Sura, and Kareem. Big up. Big up to Troy Warren, Jeff R., Mrs. K.P. Bailey, Cutting Up with the Jones, Ricky Dawson, Alan Wiley, The Face, Mantis on Break, Life of Commerce, and Truth 7360. Big up. Big up to Marvin Evans, A. Wilson's Ghost, Timothy Blewett, Jeffrey Speed, Marvin Battle Jr., Mark Holt, John J., Afro Troop TV, and Adam. Big up. Big up to BGS Ibmore, Ignatz Mouse, Brian Peaks, Papa Didas, Scott Haywood, Black Uru, Dr. Tree 33, Leroy Honeycutt, Broken Blade, and Super Tech. Big up. Big up to 77 Base X, Brian McMurray, Karen S., Anthony Davis, Seven Coast Dojo, Charles Rogers, Rick Ross, Sandra Jean, Charles Gilmore, and Patricia Colley. Big up. Big up to Greg, Barry Little, Mr. Valentino, Jason Hales, Black Men Being Brutally Honest, Cameron 87, Doc LaRock, Mark Swift, Odd Collar, and Donald Watts. Big up. Big up to Coach Hotep, Old Soul Chief, Mr. Blue Collar, I'm Just Jules, TD Hip Hop Media, Drew Main, Mr. Heat, Sir Anthony, MLR, and Universal 178. Big up. Big up to Rasheed Barnes, Aaron Smith, DH, C Truth the Revelator, Aaron Infinite, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Kalan Jakala, Hostile Adept, and WPR1. And on my Patreon side, I'd like to give a shout out to Nick, Malcolm Smith, Rock, Judah Arinda, Albert C., Dr. Ben Vincent, J. Cleveland Green, I Am the Light of My Father, Waffle Weave, William Joyner, Tyrone Hampton, Darnell Smith, Excalibur, Anu 219, Pursuer Prisoner, Taz, Dragon 59, Adrian Hicks, Jay Bailey, Mr. Michi, NEU, Mo Mal, and Asangwa. And I can't forget my brothers in heaven, Force Windu. Big up to him. David Carroll. Big up to him. And the brother Kevin Samuels. Big up to all of those gentlemen, man. You deserve a round of applause. Thank you so much for supporting the Green Gorilla channel. Appreciate the support. And if you're inquiring about how you could also support the Green Gorilla channel, man, on an ongoing basis, here's how you do it. What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. Today, I want to introduce you to my new membership program that consists of 5 levels where you can invest in the Green Gorilla channel on a monthly basis and receive level-specific perks. Memberships are special because they improve the quality of the content of the channel and will help me to be able to keep the channel going. Now, to participate in the Green Gorilla Channel membership program, all you have to do is hit the join button, which is located right next to the subscribe button on my channel page. Now, for all of my subscribers who decide not to participate in my membership program, nothing will change. The content will keep coming the way it always has. Thanks for watching, and be careful out here, people. Bless.
My own philosophy. The name of my new book is Free Women, Free Men. Sex differences are based in biology. To the war against men, that the erasure of biology for so.
I apologize for that. That's my fault, man. Technical difficulties over here. But at any rate, man, today what I want to do is have a conversation about the signifying monkey. You understand? For the most part, man, you know, I've basically said that if you want to engage with us, as opposed to ascribing characteristics and qualities to us based upon taking pieces and bits of audio from videos that have been made here on YouTube, that you're welcome to do it. However, instead of doing that, the first thing this motherfucker went and did was to make videos for white motherfuckers. Because that's primarily his, you know, his clientele, his audience, his viewership, white liberals. That's the facts, okay? And we already know what's going on here on YouTube. Like recently, there's been problems associated with YouTube and how the algorithm works and what videos get promoted in the algorithm versus ones that don't, with a content creator by the name of Corey Kenshin, okay? He had a video similar to that of one of these white boys, and the white boy's video was green lit, but his was restricted, age restricted, and he incurred some sort of strike, I think, at some point, and he went back and compared and contrasted his video with that of this larger, but they're both pretty large, all right? They both have millions of followers, but I mean, the issue is the white boy has a larger following, and his video wasn't flagged, whereas his video was flagged. And so he went through the appeals process, and after having gone through the appeals process, it was found that, yes, confirmation, your video is still restricted, whereas the white boy's wasn't. So then he went to his YouTube rep and basically said, well, how is it that my video is restricted with this content? This white content creator's video has the same content, but his is not. What gives? So they come back later and then they say, okay, we'll give you the ability to have this video aired on YouTube without being restricted. So then the guy, Corey Kenshin, thinks to himself, I thought y'all was going to double and triple down. If these are your standards, why did the standard all of a sudden change when I pointed out this imbalance related to this larger white content creator's content and mine? Now you're going to give my video a pass because you have to have his be in a position of passing. So then he asked his rep, what's up with this? What's up with this? And then they came back, YouTube did, and then restricted both of their videos. So the issue is, the problem is, we already know YouTube promotes certain kind of content and restricts others. They value a certain narrative as opposed to others. And you know for a fact they don't value the content that we have here. You know for a fact they don't value the content we put up here because it doesn't fall in line with certain discourses, narratives, scripts, whatever you want to call it. In fact, you know, what we do over here in the manosphere is continuously being characterized as misogynistic, misogynoir, regressive, toxic, hegemonic, if you want to use all the buzz and the catchwords. But ultimately, and this is my argument here, man, what that kind of language does, first of all, it restricts free speech under the hyperbolic claim that this kind of content that we're creating here is harmful and damaging and leads to radical acts like Dylan Roof killing motherfuckers. Like that's what we're doing here. We're grooming men to hurt and to harm people, as opposed to explaining what the fuck is going on in our own lives. And that's the point. The point is to deplatform, to stigmatize, to stereotype, to pigeonhole you into a category that'll bring you under the purview of state officials, bruh. That's what the fuck this shit is about, bruh. So I asked the Signifying Monkey, why haven't you come to us and tried to have a conversation so we can, have a discussion like a respectful one, a respectable one? But instead of doing that, you just went to your white audience and continued to stereotype us as regressive, sexist, rapist, abusers. Man, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Point blank. 1,000 times, nigga, fuck you. Real talk. Shout out to Gold Professor, thank you. He says, the guide has entered the building. What's hating? Money for the plate. He said, what's happening? Money for the plate, Gold Professor. Thank you, Gold Professor. Appreciate the donation. And also, Barry Little, thank you so much for your contribution, man. Appreciate that. You don't have to show any appreciation to me, but thank you for having done so. Okay? But ultimately, this kind of, this conversation about how regressive and how toxic and all that shit is, that's bringing us under the purview of Homeland Security, the FBI, and fucking the ACLU and shit like that. That kind of hyperbolic language. And that's what it's designed to do. That's what it's designed to do. But here's the point, man. If you're a black man under 50 years old, you grew up in an era after second wave feminism. And mostly you do not know or practice the norms and way of life associated with pre-second wave feminism. You just don't. These norms are not part of your social and political orientation. So all of these arguments about the domination and oppression and the marginalization and imperialism directed towards women is just fucking plain hyperbolic language, bruh. It's hyperbolic language. Hyperbolic language. Again, people who use buzzwords like the patriarchy, hegemonic masculinity, misogyny, misogynoir are mostly doing so because that's what the university has trained them to do. In fact, I was also trained to do it. I was trained to do it. Even when I had some reservations with some of the arguments and the ideas being put forth in some of these seminars. And me being vociferous as I am, I don't show any shame, man. I speak my mind. Whether you fucking like it or not. But the reality is, I have taken at least 3 graduate seminars in women and gender studies. So it ain't shit you can really tell me about it. It's not like I'm at a loss for understanding the subtleties and the nuances of the subject matter contained therein. I've taken feminist theory. I've taken feminist epistemology. I've taken feminist social and political thought. So I've read some shit that you probably haven't read. I've read Mary Wollstonecraft's A Vindication for the Rights of Women. I read it. I read John Stuart Mill's The Subjection of Women. Harriet Taylor Mill's The Enfranchisement of Women. I've read work centering around the political ideas of first wave feminists, like Sojourner Truth, or what's been alleged to be what she said, because she didn't write shit down herself as far as we know. Okay? I've read the work and the thought of Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, and quite frankly, the shit ain't that flattering, partner. It's just not. It's not that flattering. Because they said some deeply and profoundly racist and hateful shit in order to advance their own agenda. But that's a subject for another discussion. I've read Gloria Steinem, who I do believe worked for the fucking CIA. I've read Linda Alcoff and Lorraine Cole. I've read authors, feminist authors who've written about epistemic injustice, like Miranda Fricker, Marilyn Frye, and Marjorie DeVault. I've read it. On issues of standpoint epistemology, I've read Alison Wiley, Annette Patterson, and Marianne Janak. On intersectional theory, I've read Kimberly Crenshaw and Patricia Hill Collins. I've read it. For dominance feminism, I've read Catherine McKinnon, Andre Dworkin, Ellen Pence. So I'm not lost on feminist theory. It's not like there's a dearth of information in my personal experience with the subject. I'm not lost on its nuances or its subtleties. I know this shit. I have taught this shit. So don't come to us telling us, because I saw the commentary that the monkey had with Jared Ball. I saw it. I saw the dialogue between the monkey and Jared Ball. And, I heard Jared Ball basically say that we don't understand the subtleties and the nuances of Curry's work. Man, look here, bro. I understand full fucking well what Curry's work is all about. I've read it multiple times, the man not. Along with articles that have, before they were published, I've been allowed to see. So, it's not like I'm lost on the argumentation here. It's not like I'm lost on the intricacies of the points being made. I understand full goddamn well what the arguments are. And ultimately, like if you had to break it down and put it in fucking dummy terms, basically, racism primarily is a form of black misandrous aggression, man. That's what the fuck we talking about. And a lot of feminist thought basically carries over some of the themes and narratives that are racist in origin. It carries them over into intersectional feminism and second wave feminism. It carries the racism over from Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. It moves it forward through time and uses some similar arguments. So if we draw out these points and these connections, they are what the fuck they are. I don't give a fuck if it makes people feel uncomfortable or not. Fuck your comfortability. Why should I give a fuck about how comfortable you are in relation to what's truth? I don't understand it, man. But I do understand it. I understand it. Because, quite frankly, second wave feminism has been one of the most successful social movements in the Western world. Bottom line. That's the facts. And it has become, if you want to use Gramscian terms, it's become its own hegemonic discourse. Its own script, its own narrative that tells a certain story in a particular kind of way. And if you deviate from the script, you get smacked back into it. They try to put you into a box and tell you, these are the facts about the exchanges and the interpersonal relationships or the systemic or the institutional relationships between men and women under Marxian economic analysis terms. Bourgeoisie, proletariat. All men to some extent are members of the bourgeoisie. All women are members of the proletariat. Now, first of all, Marxian thought was not meant to be utilized in order to make all of these claims about gender to begin with. But you know, the critical theorists from the Frankfurt School, I know who the fuck they are. I know who Horkheimer, Adorno is, and all the motherfuckers. Marcuse. I'm not stupid. You're talking to somebody, man, who's going through graduate school, man. I didn't go to fucking get a master's degree, bro. I got a doctoral degree in philosophy. I've studied ancient philosophy all the way from the pre-Socratics like Anaximander, Anaximenes, Xenophanes, Heraclitus, Parmenides, and all these motherfuckers, on up to Plato and Socrates and Plato and Aristotle. I know Augustine. I know St. Thomas Aquinas. I know Descartes, Locke, Hobbes, and Rousseau. I'm not lost on this shit. I've read Kant, John Stuart Mill, Jeremy Bentham. I know this shit like the back of my hand, bro. I know the linguistic turn and where it comes from out of the existential tradition that was initiated by Kierkegaard, taken over by Nietzsche, developed further by Hegel, then taken up by French persons. But I'm not getting into all of that. I don't really even see the need to go into all of that right now. But the point is, second wave feminism has been one of the most successful social movements in the goddamn world, bro. And it's become its own hegemonic discourse. And the fact is that women now have complete, formal, social, and political equality with men, along with a set of rights that are equivalent to those of men. They can buy and sell property. They can hold political offices. They can vote. They can go to school. Now, it's important for people to understand that white women are the primary beneficiaries of this so-called new set of rights. It's not even new. We act like women were still clamoring for the right to vote in 1965. Come on, man. They were still struggling for the right to vote in fucking 1965. That's what black people were doing, right? Shout out to Mr. Heat, man. Appreciate your donation, my brother. Appreciate that. And I've been shying away from these conversations for a few weeks, man, because, look, I don't like to regurgitate the same talking points over and over and over. I don't like to talk about the same shit over and over and over again. I can't do it. And if I do it, I have to go into the intricacies of what it is that I'm talking about. I got to go into specifics and get into minutia. I don't like just talking about the same shit over and over and over again. I'm exhausted with that. Girls have been taught, and boys along with them, that women and girls can do anything that men can do. This extends to work, but black women have always worked, ever since they've been on plantations, whether it's breastfeeding massa children or working as a domestic in their houses. So black men have always been socialized to permit and allow for women going to work. So this whole notion that, black men are trying to hold women back, first of all, we don't control the conditions of who is employed and who's unemployed to fucking begin with. But I don't even want to go there. That's a tangential argument. They've been taught that they can do anything men can do. This extends to work, sex, and play. Bottom line. So ultimately, women have moved their way into the world of men. And many women are in the same occupations, are following the same sexual patterns, and are engaging the world the way that some men do. Because all men don't behave the exact same fucking way. Now, when it comes to work, it's at least the case with service-based jobs in which the employee or white-collar jobs where the employees face little to no extreme hazards because they not out there busting their ass in the rod patch somewhere with rebar on their fucking shoulders. Now, I'm not saying there are no women in construction, but it ain't that many of them there. I worked in construction for at least 6 years, building bridges, erecting the foundations or the skeletal structure of tall buildings, 20 stories high. I don't see them up there on these goddamn swinging stages. I'm just telling you, there have been some there, but not nearly as many as the men that have been there. And if there was a woman there that knew more than I knew as an apprentice, I would fucking listen to what she had to say because she has experience. And I'm looking to gain and learn from her experience so that I can garner more under my belt. That's just how the shit goes. But the traditional qualities ascribed to males, which are active, and women, passive, they no longer exist in the Western world. And this has been feminism's aim. That's what the goal is, right? To usher in to the idea of femininity, activeness. And not to just allocate it or ascribe it to men. So if men begin to engage women and to treat women the same way they treat men, why the fuck are people so goddamn surprised? Why are you surprised? This is what the feminist movement requires. It's what the feminists have actually fucking called for. This is the movement's logical conclusion. If we all have the same rights, we all have the same responsibilities. Right? If we all have the same rights, we all have the same duties and responsibilities. Right? If we're talking about strict social and political equality, right? But it is painfully clear to many men, this is not quite the fucking case. It's not the case. Because at the same time that many of these radical feminist women want to be empowered, they still want to maintain the traditional privileges associated with womanhood. Bottom fucking line. And in particular, white womanhood. Let's make that clear. They want to maintain the traditional privileges associated with white womanhood, which during the Victorian era came to be characterized primarily as virtuous, caring, nurturing, all of that shit. And why? Because men actually during the industrial era or a little bit, after it, or in its later stages, they wanted to create separate spheres, a domestic sphere and a public sphere. And they utilized this whole argument about women being virtuous in order to assign and relegate them to the fucking domestic sphere. That's the reason why you have all of these so-called positive qualities ascribed to women. Because prior to that, During the medieval era, women were perceived as being like Eve, the motherfuckers that brought about the original fall. The ones who are morally corrupt and susceptible to the devil they be. This is facts. Queen Miss Sunkiss asked, what is black womanhood? Look, let me just say this. On the slave plantation, what is black womanhood? You answer the question. You give me some suggestions, because at the end of the day, a black woman is not a woman on a slave plantation. Now, Sojourner Truth may say, earn our woman, but like the categories of woman and manhood are definitely like to define black men as men on a slave plantation didn't happen. You are a sheep, a chicken, a cow, a beast of burden like flora or fauna. You were property. This is the reality. But here's the issue. Women want to share the same privileges associated with being a man, whatever those are. But they don't want to share the same responsibilities in every way. This is contradictory and cannot work. Women cannot be above reproach and be treated as queens and docile damsels while simultaneously being lauded as boss bitches. It ain't gonna work. You can't be a boss bitch and a damsel in distress. You can't be a fucking savage and a victim. This shit don't work like that. Now, of course, look, there's prescription and description. When I say white womanhood, I'm saying that there's a norm and a set of qualities ascribed to white womanhood, such that it's perceived as civilized, virtuous, pure, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm not saying this is the way things ought to be. I'm saying this is the way it was in the annals of time, is what I'm saying. So there's a difference between description and prescription, a difference between describing something and then using normative values in order to assess whether that ought to be the case. Do I think it ought to be the case that black men be perceived as boys? No. Or black women as girls? No. Do I think we ought to be perceived as flora and fauna? No. But let's not get caught up into that. See, what men have an issue with is that there are escape clauses for women. That's what men have an issue with, the escape clause. Certain groups of women want to be able to slip in and out of womanhood whenever they get ready. They want an equality that's not truly equal. They want to be able to go to work if they want to, but they want to be able to opt out of work through marriage if they don't want to. And this can happen over the course of a lifetime. Oh, well, I want to be a boss bitch and get my degree. Oh, I changed my mind. Now I want to be a wife in the house, and I want to just, be a Martha Stewart inside of the neighborhood in the home. Huh? But a man never gets to decide. He never gets to change. There are no options or escape clauses for him, generally speaking. This is what we're talking about. They want to be able to opt out of work if they don't want to work. They want to find a high-value man, quote unquote. They want political equality when it comes to the shit that they want and they desire, but they don't want political equality when it comes to taking risks. Because the men are supposed to step up and do that. So, how does that work exactly? How many women are willing to go to the basement with a gun and a flashlight when something goes bump in the fucking night? How many? How many? How many women are willing to go to war like G.I. Jane? When most would rather put on makeup and get their nails done and stay safe and sound in the house. How many women are willing to pay for the first date, or willing to pump the gas at the gas station, or who are willing to get out of the car and change the flat tire when there's a blowout on the highway? How fucking many, bruh? How many? I ain't never known a woman to say, hey boo, hey bae, when the tire gets flat on the fucking highway, I got this, I got this, I got this. No, you sit up, you chill on out. I got this. I got this. How many? So in my viewpoint, many women are just as responsible for hegemonic or toxic masculinity as the men are that many of these black male feminists deride and denounce as regressive and toxic, because men are also being shaped by women as to what kind of behavior and qualities they're supposed to have and what kind of fucking actions they're supposed to perform. So women make up masculinity and contribute towards its practice and performance just as much as men do. God damn. God damn. So if we point this out, it's what it is. But you got these hoe-ass fuck niggas that might suggest it briefly, just to get right back to characterizing and stereotyping men, but particularly black men, as sexist, rapist, abusers who are engaging in such dangerous dialogue, such that it's gonna set us back. We're gonna put them back to be barefoots and pregnants. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Bullshit. I'm not critical of feminism because I don't like women. He's just critical. Motherfucker, I guarantee you signifying monkey, I read more feminist philosophy than you have. I read more philosophy than you have. I've written more about philosophy than you have. I've taught philosophy more than you have on your tenure on fucking YouTube. And yeah, I'm using ad hominems because you use ad hominems. You take pieces and bits, like Ron O'Neill said, you chop and screw what the fuck we talking about and contort it and twist it like knaves. In order to what? Regurgitate the white woman neoliberal talking points you learned in fucking college, bruh? Fuck out of here, man. It's bullshit. I'm critical of feminism, not because I'm trying to hate on women, but because I'm critical of its contradictions. Any theory in the fucking academy should be susceptible to falsification and critique. If it's not, dude, it's not a fucking goddamn theory, and we're not engaged in academic practices. It's proselytization. It's doctrine or dogma. That shit ain't supposed to happen in the fucking academy, bruh. That's not how the fucking space is supposed to operate or work. Now, I gave you the opportunity to engage in dialogue, but you didn't want to do that shit. You just went right back to your white audience, your white neoliberals, and fuck them people, man. Them people don't give a fuck about niggas for real. The white liberal. Malcolm X told you about the white liberal. Martin Luther King told you about the white liberal. Kwame Ture taught you about the white liberal. Everybody done told you about white liberal, but you motherfuckers don't seem to get the picture, man. Now, I'm not saying conservatism's any better. Because I believe a white person is a white person is a white person. Just is what it is. Some people think shit is getting better because the country is getting more diverse. I have a different viewpoint, but I don't want to digress too far. But when's the last time you seen a motherfucking white liberal in a hood near you? When? When the fuck you seen a white liberal in a hood near you, nigga? When? If it ain't gentrified, they ain't there. If it ain't safe with the police and shit around, them motherfuckers are not there. If they ain't being escorted, they ain't there. If they don't work with you, they don't fuck with you. I got all kind of girl cousins. I got 2 sisters and shit. Got 2 daughters. One of them got white friends. One. Only fucking one. Why is that? With my KRS voice, motherfucker. You tell me, Signified Monkey. You explain to me why. Because they don't give a fuck about you. Not for real. If you're not serving as some sort of instrumental good to them or for them, you're not useful to them. Bottom line. They'll come out and march to grandstand and virtue signal or some shit like that, but then they take their ass back to the fucking suburbs or the gentrified area that they fucking come from. That's what they do, bruh. So the hell with all these goddamn white liberals and their meliorist progressivism. Fuck that bullshit. It's bullshit. So I'm critical of feminism not because I hate women. I'm just critical of the fucking contradictions within it. And it's perfectly acceptable to critique a man and to hold him responsible for any wrongdoing he might be engaged in, or exploring, or, teasing out the elements or the factors that lead to his culpability, but it's misogyny to do the same with women. And it is misogynoir to do so with black women. All because of what? Our desire to preserve the integrity of their reputations, not to engage in cultural imperialism? Is that what the fuck we talking about? But what about representing men mostly as problematic and black men in general as regressive, toxic, dangerous, sexist, rapist, abusers, drawing them under the alert of the fucking Homeland Security, the ACLU, and the fucking FBI? You have no problem doing that as you espouse the ethics and the mores of white, neoliberal, Eastern, bourgeois white women. You don't give a fuck. You don't care about that. That's cool. That's okay to do. Oh, and on a side note, being critical in and of itself does not imply danger, violence, exploitation, or domination. But what you motherfuckers like to do, a nigga like you, and I think, as far as I'm concerned, you're a black male Karen, dog. Bottom line, bro. You're a black male Karen, bro. Connecting an online community of men who are mostly not college educated and tying them to right-wing racial extremism for some chauvinism they may display is hyperbolic bullshit, bruh. Bottom line. And I think you know that. But because you make money from throwing black men under the bus and discussing how regressive and problematic they are, you are more than gassed up to keep on fucking doing it. So in essence, you are what I said you are. You're a fucking black male Karen, dog. You're black male Karen. You see, the problem is that there are women who want men to be real men and to protect and to provide for them. Which, if you ask me, their desires about what they want men to do for them is just as much a part of socializing men to be what you eschew as it is by men themselves. But as far as I'm concerned, man, that shit, it is over. At least temporarily. It's done. Because the world doesn't operate that way anymore. There is no free fire zone in which women can berate and disparage men without a fucking response. Whether it's in the academy or on social media. Men are responding and they should respond. And they don't need your fucking permission to speak. They don't need your permission, bruh. No matter what form the speech takes. Unless, of course, you in your fucking perennial wisdom know whether or not it is acceptable for a motherfucker to curb or infringe upon free speech to inflate a social good. You got that understanding under your belt, right? So you read Robert Nozick, you read Rawls and all them and explored all of the issues associated with the dangers related to curbing free speech. Or you've read all of the information related to deliberative democratic theory and basically perceived that, well, it's not as good as it's chalked up to be. We need to restrict speech for the sake of preserving utilitarian good in the population in which we exist. You got that shit already worked out, right? You done the work on that, right? You know that for a fact, right? Because it's dangerous, dangerous. So dangerous. It's so dangerous. Sound like a faint couch white woman, man. What you fucking sound like, bruh? Fucking faint couch ass white woman, man. Oh, like you over there clutching your pearls and shit. Using words like cringe and shit like that. Who the fuck uses like that kind of terms from the hood anyway? Oh, it's so cringe. Oh yeah? You wanna go get a cafe latte? Yeah, I want one. Like, what the fuck, bruh? Men should respond to what they hear to be contradictions within the framework of this discourse. And this ain't got shit to do with a motherfucker hating women or not. It's got to do with seeing how society is changing and how contradictions exist within the context of the change. But right now, all we have is neoliberal white women and their values and what makes them comfortable and feel safe and what they want to accept is related to masculinity, and everybody's being forced to fit into what the fuck makes them comfortable. Watch your tongue. I feel like I'm like, you know, the little nigga with the tie on at the White House. What's the name of the movie Forrest Whitaker played in? You can't say shit. You gotta sit there and stand quiet and serve a motherfucker some coffee. Man, fuck that bullshit. Gotta make everybody run. You made her feel a little unsafe by saying that. So what? Who cares? Oh, you made him feel a little unsafe. The world ain't safe, motherfucker. So most men in the manosphere are not men who are seeing their privileges being taken away. Because they never enjoy privileges that women don't enjoy in the first fucking place. Men know that when they critique women, there's going to be a backlash. And the backlash will be labeled as misogyny. But many men right now, today, simply don't care about the label anymore. They just don't give a shit. And they shouldn't. What you gonna do, moral us to death? You gonna make sure we don't go to heaven? you gonna relegate us to hell? Or you're one of the good ones, right? You some sort of fucking purist? You're a zealot? You're on the right side of morality, right? Everybody else is on the wrong side. You're a perfect nigga, right? And this is a trigger warning for you all, especially if you're a black feminist. Black feminism is one of the biggest problems that black men are facing intraracially and intrapolitically right now. Why? Well, because black feminists have decided to go their own way. That's what they said they were going to do. We're going our own way. So all the shit about men going their own way, fuck that. Women have already, especially black feminists, they've decided we're going our own way. And to work on their own issues. They've been doing this shit for the past 50, 60 years. But the problem is that the world is not the same as it was 60 fucking years ago. So the rhetoric and the norms associated with it are antiquated. They're outdated. Many of us who grew up after second wave feminism see black women and queer folk as social and political equals. But we constantly get charged with being privileged patriarchs and homophobes. Those persons born after the 70s don't know what it's like to live in a life world with norms associated with pre-second wave feminism. But this does not stop black feminists from arguing that black male chauvinism, homophobia, or violence still is or is even worse than what it was before. But this is demonstrably false. It's false. Anybody that studied domestic violence over the years, anybody who's done this, who studied it, knows that in terms of intimate partner homicide, particularly, the shit in the black community is down some damn near, what? 69%. Intimate partner homicides and violence has declined sharply in the last 30 years. Those are the fucking facts, bruh. That's the facts. But nobody wants to talk about that shit. All we want to do is use this hyperbolic, fainting couch, radical feminist rhetoric in order to stereotype, caricaturize, and stigmatize men, particularly black men. And we ain't going for it no more. And the funny thing is, when you think about it, the funny thing is, it doesn't stop the hyperbolic and politically charged language, which is largely designed to malign our character, man, and our political self-respect. So all the virtue signaling and grandstanding in order to demonstrate that there's a newfound danger emerging for black women due to the online presence of black men is some bullshit. It's absolute fucking nonsense. And none of you guys, here's what I do know. At the very same time that Catherine McKinnon was writing towards a feminist theory of the state, that Andrea Workin was doing her work, the time Ellen Pence was developing the Duluth model of domestic violence, and Kimberly Crenshaw was developing her theories about intersectionality, the same time that these women were doing this shit. And creating the whole concept of dominist feminism with their lopsided and hyperbolic understanding of the etiology behind domestic violence. Guess who the #1 perpetrator of intimate partner homicide was in the black community? Guess who? Guess what population? Between 1976 and 85, guess who were the biggest killers of their partners in goddamn the black community, bruh? Guess. You already know what the fucking answer is. It's black women. So how are you developing all these theories about dominance, power, and control and all of this rhetoric, which Ellen Pence recanted? I can tell you the article she wrote called Some Thoughts on Philosophy in a journal called Coordinating Community Responses to Domestic Violence, published in either 98 or 99. I can't remember which year. But she basically said we were operating under confirmation bias and we were selling guilt in order to issue forth policy. But no, none of you fuck niggas talk about that. You monkey. You don't have a conversation about that. You don't put that into your thoughts and your ideas and your videos, now do you? Indigo Flow, Ishmael Reed did talk about that. He did say something about that. And in fact, since you mentioned it, here's what he had to say about it.
It's about a black woman who can't walk down the street in safety. I lived in Boston for 9 years. In 1979, 12 black women were murdered in a 4-month period in Boston. I lived in Roxbury. That is a black community in Boston. What did it mean to me and to every black female and black man in Boston that 12 black women were murdered precipitously during that period? That's what black feminism is about, to try to explain that.
I'll tell you what, Jet Magazine, which I read every week.
I do too.
And which is very reliable. Published some Justice Department statistics that show that more black men are being killed by women than the other way around. Now, when I say that, the feminists get emotional. They say, well, that's not true. It must have been because of self-defense. But I think that men should stop killing women.
They should stop killing each other.
Women should stop killing men.
And black men should stop killing each other, too.
One should not be singled out as the repository of all evil in the world. And I think we agree on that.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg.
The first argument that always comes up, self-defense, self-defense. It was all self-defense. Look, come on, man. We already have 40 to 50 years of research on domestic violence done by social scientists in the academy that demonstrates, if I have to pull it up. See, I got to continue to pull shit up. Let me share the screen, man. Let me get a window going here. I always got to do this. Can you see this? Martin Fiber from the Department of Psychology at California State has drawn up an annotated bibliography of over 343 scholarly investigations, which include 270 empirical studies, 73 reviews and/or analyses, which demonstrate that women are as physically aggressive or more aggressive than men in the relationships with their spouses or male partners. God damn. But every time we say this shit, every time we say it, it's misogyny. Oh, it's so dangerous. What the fuck is dangerous about it? Now, either you can continue to grandstand a virtue signal, or we can actually study what the fuck is happening in the community. But not you niggas. What y'all want to do is fucking grandstand and virtue signal and act like you're on the right side of justice. That's all you motherfuckers are engaged in doing. You're doing it to white people. Look at how regressive this nigga is. You're the type of motherfucker on the plantation. Look at that old backwards ass nigga. Boss, we's hurt. We hurt, boss. That's the kind of shit y'all doing. What, to get a pat on the back? What, to be perceived as progressive? To keep the money rolling in? What the fuck are y'all doing, man? Because some people are actually interested in determining what the fuck is the truth happening there. Some people care about objective reality. Again, man, I got many female family members and they all cool with me. They Gucci. I rock with them. And they know I don't bite my tongue. I speak of what I fucking got to say. But the whole narrative is all of these women who are engaging in acts of violence or just basically fighting back. That's the go-to right there. Oh, they just fighting, they fighting back. But at the same time, I just read from Raywin Connell's, the trans woman, her fucking masculinities book. And in that book, she began to have a discussion about sex roles. And ultimately, you know, what you find when you do psychometric analysis of persons, male or female, you find that the personality profiles of both men and women are pretty much fucking similar. Go look at the first chapter of Connell's book, monkey, and you'll see it right there. So if it's the case that both men and women pretty much have the same basic psychological profiles related to personality, then why is it always pointed out that it's somehow fucking men that are regressive, toxic, hegemonic, and fucking violent? How? I want you to explain it. I would like for you to explain it. They're all just fighting back, right? Never slapping or punching a motherfucker. Can't be that. Can't ever be out of bounds, exhibiting viciousness. Can't ever be that shit. Because we have to preserve and protect the idea that they're pristine and perfect at all times. Just like white men did in Victorian England with white women in order to make sure that they stayed in the domestic sphere. Or they were just fighting back, or were they like Heather Morgan, the wife of the famous jazz trumpeter, gunning their husbands down because the husbands found new relationships with new women, or wanted to break free from the constant nagging and henpecking of overbearing and jealous wives who wanted to play out a motherly role instead of playing out the role of a fucking wife. Can't be that, huh, nigga? Don't quite fit in with the script, huh, nigga? Of a Lifetime channel movie, nah, huh, nigga? Go watch the documentary on Lee Morgan and see what his wife did to him. Oh, that doesn't happen. That can't happen. It's crazy, man. And see, these guys, man, are quislings, really. They like to demonstrate their moral praiseworthiness to white people by derogating black people who they consider to be unevolved. But most specifically, the backwardness of black men. These people are like parakeets or like puppets who has the hand of a white woman's morality stuck so far up their fucking anus that you can see it in their throat, like a woman taking neck in a fucking porn movie. See, many of the guys in the manosphere didn't go to college. They didn't study at university. So they're not inculcated and ground down by the morality and moral sensibilities of northern neoliberal white women like you. How dare you denounce them because your uppity ass studied at the feet of some holy and venerated matriarch? How dare you? How dare you? Many of these guys have been burned hard by women that were the closest to them. Many of these guys weren't born to middle-class black women who had all their shit together. Many of these guys live in an environment in the trap, they call it a trap, where women will bust the windows out of your fucking car, pack steel, set niggas up for robberies, and who pack guns and knives and will use them motherfuckers. But that doesn't quite fit into the narrative of your life and your experience, now does it? One of my best friends, his mother didn't even have a fucking grade school education. She couldn't read or write. She could drink and curse like a sailor, but she couldn't read or write. She became a crackhead. Well, he became a crackhead. I went on to go to college. That's where I grew up from, bro. I've seen women slash tires. I've seen women stab motherfuckers, pull guns on motherfuckers, throw their clothes out of the house, all kind of crazy shit. And I ain't damning all women because of this. All we trying to do is point out, hey, how the pot gonna call the kettle black? Don't judge lest ye be judged. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Wrong. Because you got a group of guys right now who consider themselves to be contemporary versions of the Bishop Cyril. During the Roman era, you know, who sacked the Library of Alexandria and who killed Hypatia on the account that the wrong doctrine was being professed. What are you, some new kind of new wave woke zealot who's on a holy mission to eradicate all the evil in the world? I'm gonna play one more thing, man, and I'm up out of here, man. And I want to give a shout out to DJ Drama, straight up no chaser. He says, XU, LA, Xavier University, Louisiana, class of 95, supports Professor GG. Peace out to you, young man. You know, I'm class of 93, all black Xavier. Indigo Flow says, I'd be remiss if I didn't support one of the scholars. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Drew Main says we need that documentary now more than ever. I concur. But I can take a horse to water, but I can't make them drink. Can't make them drink. Drager001 says, he's like the people who complain about critical, you say CTR, I think you mean critical race theory. I liked him for a bit, but he seems only to deal with female trauma bonders. And look, bruh, Dr. CD2 says, oh, he just gave me a super sticker. Thank you, brother. I'm just doing some housekeeping right now. Life of Commerce, thank you. Appreciate you, sir. Straight up. Word up. Aaron Peter says, I appreciate the knowledge you bring. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. T Fitness for you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I'm doing my housekeeping right now. I'll get back to it. And Mr. Oh, I already gave Mr. Heat a shout out. Thank you so much for your support. But it's important for me to talk about this because we're not really actually dealing with black people, man. We're pushing a narrative. We're pushing a script. I think the feminist thinking has become its own hegemonic discourse. But a public emerges, they discuss a certain set of issues, and then the public becomes old, and then it's time for a new public to emerge, to replace it, or to adjust for its inaccuracies or the things that it doesn't actually cover. That's what a new public's supposed to be. And you're seeing the emergence of a new public right here, one that you are ready to stigmatize and demonize in order to promote the values of neoliberal white women. And I'm not the only one who thinks this way. Again, I've studied feminism longer probably than this man has been fucking damn near out of prepubescence. I'm 51 years old. I'm not a new jack. I'm an OG. Been around the block 1,000 times. Been a lot of places and spaces in my life at times. But the last thing I'm gonna show you is I'm not the only one who thinks like this. Peep out the opinion of a feminist whom I happen to like. Check out.
My own philosophy, and this is why I'm such a dissident feminist, is that sex differences are based in biology, okay, and that the erasure of biology from the women's studies and now gender studies curriculum, okay, has produced an entire army of propagandists, of feminist thinkers whose views have been adopted by bureaucrats in governments and on campuses everywhere. Okay, so you have it's like a massive system of control that's going on, and an obstruction to free thought and free speech that I find extremely serious. Now, I'm speaking from what I regard as a transgender position. I don't think of myself as man or woman, okay, and my position sort of between the genders is the entire basis, I think, of my analysis. But they have a term like rape culture, okay, being repeated over and over again, okay, a term of such utter nonsense. Anyone who believes that there is a rape culture on campus, okay, is guilty of the most hysterical kind of thinking. We're dealing with hallucinations. It's a return by secularists, okay, to a notion of hellfire. Men have absolutely been demonized in a way that makes no sense, because when you go to the elite campuses in the United States, you see boys who've been so processed, who are desperate to please women. And the more men try to please women, the more men follow the agenda that women have set for themselves, the less women want them, okay? So women everywhere are unhappy. They're so unhappy. They're unhappy. They're unhappy. Why? Okay, because there are no men anywhere near. The men have been incinerated, okay, in the area around them. Okay, all right, well. Now, a big theme of my writing, and it's repeated again and again in my new book, okay, is that I find absolutely intolerable the invisibility to bourgeois women academics, okay, of the men who are making the infrastructure around them work. all of the hardest, dirtiest, okay, most thankless work is everywhere in the world is still being done by men, okay? It's the construction projects, when there's a storm and all the electric wires are down. I don't see any women out there doing it. It's the men out there who are doing it. It's the men who are setting the windows in the great towers, who are risking, there's something like a 92, the number of deaths, okay, on work sites around the world, something like 92% of them are men, okay, because it's men who take on those jobs. I just saw a few months ago, I was like driving in the suburbs where I live, I saw there was a huge sewage spill coming from a broken pipe. There were people in hazmat suits, hazard suits, okay, going out there and cleaning this up. Did I see any women there? No, okay, it's men who do this, right? And how stoical men are, okay, and men take this abuse and have been taking it for decade after decade after decade. It's time for a return to the Robert Bly type of men's movement. The men's movement that was still quite vital in the early 90s has completely disappeared, and the women have taken over.
There you have it. Bourgeois values and what makes white women comfortable at every turn. Oh, you can't behave this way. You have to take off your hat. You have to tap your shoes, tap dance a jig or something. Otherwise, the fainting counts white women will piss a motherfucking hissy fit and fall out and clutch her pearls or some shit. You have a situation where boys are being ground down like sausage. And the rank and file members of the black community, man, they don't subscribe to this. They ain't been to the university like that. They haven't learned about Gramsci and Connell. They haven't learned about Marx and Hobbes and Rousseau and all that shit. They don't give a fuck about that. They dealing with a day-to-day existence. One that you conveniently choose to ignore with your motherfucking armchair activism. It's getting to the point where men are tired of hearing this bullshit, this rhetoric, this ideology, this dogma, that there's something wrong with them. Stop signifying, monkey. Stop trying to bring us under the hate watch authorities, the Homeland Security and the FBI and shit, and the CIA. Stop doing it. Or maybe that's just what you do. Maybe that's what your role in life is. He's all right, but he's not real. If he got indicted, he probably would squeal. Man. He's all right, but he's not real. They can watch as much as they want to watch. The truth is what it is. You got men out here, man, being subjected to all kind of derogatory characterizations and being subjected to all kind of vicious acts. But none of that's taken into consideration. The only thing we talk about is how men want to exert power and control based upon the musings of some weird wacko-ass white woman, misfit, who basically said she lied about the shit. Come on, man. But it is what it is, man. Shout out to Dollar Will. Appreciate your support, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Jiggin, appreciate that, my brother. Straight up. Word. And Dr. Tia Johnson, man. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, my brother. But I ain't gonna make this no more longer than what it is. All I'm saying is, man, stop signifying, monkey. Stop it. If you really want to have a conversation, you know where to reach us. If you really want to talk. That's what discourse of an academic kind is supposed to be about, the exchange of ideas, arguments and counter arguments. You want to add harm, we can add harm, but I'm the one to do it though, because I don't give a fuck. And I have no desire to watch that dude's presentation, because I know all he did was take some of the most fucked up shit that he heard here and then put it in his videos without actually presenting any argument we've ever presented ourselves, which is intellectually lazy and dishonest. It's not reciprocitous as it pertains to speech and action. You got to follow the norms associated with discourse. Be public. Be reciprocitous. And be ready to be held accountable. And be consistent. And stop using the hyperbolic fucking white women's fucking fear and shit. Oh, waiting around the corner, somebody's going to get me. Cut it out, man. We already got the data on what's really actually happening. You got boys in the black community have the earliest rates of sexual debut. But we talking about vulnerability of black girls when they fucking these little boys underage. Not saying all, but just saying there are these things that are occurring, but we don't want to speak about them or discuss them for the fear that, oh, this might have a backlash from the black women and women. So you willing to preserve a reputation without actually digging into what the fuck is occurring? You care about spectacles and appearances more than you care about actually finding out what the truth is and dealing with the shit that's happening on the ground. All for you to get some likes and some views from your white liberal motherfuckers who don't give a shit about niggas no way. Go on ahead with your bad ass, man. Go ahead, monkey. Do what you do. Perform your work, man. Do what you gotta do, bruh. Do what you gotta do, man. Go get your 30 pieces of silver, Judas. I'll holler at you. I left a link if somebody wanted to say something, but if not, I got some jambalaya to make, man. It's going to take me 2 hours to make it. I got my garlic powder, my onion powder. I got my Holy Trinity ready. I got my tomato paste, my crushed tomatoes. I got my, my andouille. I got them prawns ready. I'm ready to get down, baby. So, and appreciate AKs and curtains. So I'm about ready to make this jambalaya, man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and look, that's the thing, right? And this is the last thing I want to speak on, right? Bruh. Do I have to actually bring women on my show that will let you know, like, first of all, I know I'm not an incel. I know that for a fact. I turned down pussy from all races of women. No, dear, I don't think so. No, not tonight. I ain't got the Lowrys. I got that Tony Casheray, Christopher Clipper. Tony Casheray. But the whole point is, incel. Incel? Like, I can tell you don't understand what's going on in this space. You just want to make us, you want to tie us to terrorism, is what the fuck you want to do. You want to connect us to terrorism. That's the thing. That's the goal. To connect us to terrorism. Queen, also known as Miss Sunkiss, says, I want to know what you know about feminism. When can we discuss that? In fact, what I would like to do is, I told you I want to read feminist philosophy to you so you can understand it more clearly. Now, I'm not saying all of it's wrong, but I mean, the whole idea that, you know, only men are engaged in actions which are coercive, that's just, it's false. It's patently false. It's demonstratively false. All you got to do is look at the FBI and the you know, Department of Justice statistics, and you'll see that it's demonstrably false. All you have to do is look at the social scientific research that's been put out here for the past 40 to 50 years, and you'll see it's demonstrably false. But I started reading feminist philosophy. I read part of Raywin Connell's Masculinities, and people didn't really watch it. So I was like, okay, they want to be engaged in a gender war shit show 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm not in it for that. I told you I'm not a relationship coach. I really don't give a fuck about what's going on with men and women in the dating world. I can give 2-3 fucks about it. I just don't care. Some men care. I mean, you're free to talk about it. Who am I to say you can't? I just don't want to weigh in on that. I'm more worried about men who got third base or home run problems than I am with men who got first base problems. That's just me. Because those are the kind of experiences I've had, not the other way around. I haven't had the experience of, oh, well, it's hard for me to talk to or to attract the attention of or to, you know, generate the interest of women. That's just not been my issue. It's not been my problem. Shit, I'm 6'3". I'm 220 pounds. Sorry. Just got the genetic luck of the draw. And not something I'm responsible for, but it is what it is. They got little or no body fat. Sorry, it just is what it is. Women been hitting on me like, you know, since I was fucking 8, 9 years old. Not women, but, you know, girls in the hood. It is what it is. But this incel shit, I'm tired of hearing that bullshit. I got 2 girls, man. You want me to bring my daughter on the fucking show? One of my daughters and shit? Like, is that necessary? Crazy shit out here, bro. K. Ryan S., thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And Herb Saint, he says, enjoy that John Balai. Appreciate your work, GG. You know, you got it, little daddy. Woody. My nigga, my nerve, my jelly preserve. But yeah, man, I'm about done with this, man. The only thing I'm just trying to say is, you know, black men are not the repository of all evil. We're not. We're not. And the same shit that's happening to women is happening to black men. And that's the elephant in the room nobody wants to actually discuss. From sexual assault to physical violence, and not to mention the violence that we exert on each other that's problematic. But at any rate, man, you know, I'm out of this thing, man. I'll holler at y'all on the next one, man. I'll be back tomorrow with Sand Dog, my brother from Omega Psi Phi. We gonna rap and have a good old conversation. But it be what it be, man. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow. One. Let me get the outro going, man. I ain't been on this thing in so long, I don't even know how to do it no more. But y'all be peaceful. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow.
my own